Hey guys, welcome to the Be Infinite podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Shaw, founder of BeInfinite.co, your all-in-one solution to help you build a successful business. Today we have Elizabeth Mahusay. Oh my gosh, guys, this is an amazing woman, amazing leader. She's a top sales and leadership coach. Me and my team were blessed to have her come and talk to us. She quizzed us on sales, and trust me, I've been doing this 9 years. You tend to think you know everything, but this young woman came in and blew us away, gave us a whole different mindset on how to sell, and then she gave me some much needed leadership tips that sometimes I was too close to the pot, and she had a bird eye view. She could see the overall of everything, and she really helped me pinpoint some things that were really holding me back. So without further ado, Elizabeth Mahusay, she's phenomenal. I can't wait for you guys to meet her.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me on. I really, I appreciate you, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to encourage those who are watching live and who'll watch the replay too.
Yes. Well, like I said, man, you are phenomenal. I told you that. We've talked a million times, and you really helped us, me and my brand, and my company and my team. When we left your presentation, man, I was still getting calls. We were still, you kind of can't register everything right then.
Yeah.
But after a while, you think of stuff and like, wow, that was beyond a phenomenal. You gave us workbooks. I mean, it was a whole presentation, and we absolutely loved it. So I was like, we got to get Elizabeth on the show. We got to. She needs to spread, her wisdom, her talent to everybody. So I've been talking you up. So let everybody know exactly what you do and what problem you solve for people.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yes. So I am a sales and leadership coach with Southwestern Coaching. And I mean, if you were thinking about like a problems are unique. Sometimes they're unique, but many times they're pretty much consistent among across the board where salespeople are concerned, or leaders. The problem of how can I maximize my time? I'm not getting it all done.
Yes.
I'm constantly frustrated, or I feel guilty because, you're hearing things like, you're always on your phone, you're always in your computer. That's a true problem that we really work on in order to help people maximize, to do more in less time, to wait for it. I don't know if they can see this, but to be crushing goals and having fun. This is my own, beverage container, and I send these out to my clients now. But yes, that's just one example of something that we see that affects almost all sales professionals in some form or fashion.
Yeah, and I love how your emphasis is on time. Because a lot of people, we realize that we only have a 24 hours in a day, but you don't really realize it. Because what do? We spend our time in places that aren't really maximizing it. And then we say we don't have any time. And time is, man, I love that you brought that up. Time is, our real true commodity, versus we can always make more money, but you can never make more time. So it's a lot more valuable. So if you can help people save time, man. Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, and it's not even so much the saving of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's things like, how do we view time, right?
Okay.
To your point, it's oftentimes we're not giving time the level of value that it really has in our life. And we see that difference when someone who their life is on the line, they see the value of time way differently than, say, someone who isn't facing a health crisis, as one example. So I think part of it is it's how we see time and the value we place on time. We got to start there, because if our head's not right about it, our likelihood of ever changing what we do with it is very low.
That is so true. I recently was in the hospital with COVID for 9 days, prone in on my stomach, and I had the oxygen in me. They were pumping it in there. And I tried to watch shows and, because we have Netflix, I have all of them, Disney Plus, we have kids, so we have all of them. And I'm thinking this time is going to go by fast, but then you start to realize, what is my real purpose? Because I may not make it out of this bed. Like, you know what I mean? So you're right. You start to think about, man, I don't want to waste my time doing that. I need to focus on what is my real purpose. And when I get out here, I was super focused on getting things done and helping the clients in a very unique way. And I explained all that to you too. We'll bring that in another show, but I want to get to you. Now, we started off talking about time, but how does time correlate with your sales and leadership coaching?
Okay, so for most of our clients, time is one of the things that they want to be able to see better, value it more, use it more. Mm-hmm. And so ultimately what we do in our coaching, it is one-to-one. So it's a customized experience. So how you need to leverage or use your time might look different from someone in a different industry or with a different dynamic at home or within their workplace. And so that's one of the values of one-to-one coaching is it gives us the opportunity to really hone in on what are your goals, where are, and the path that you want to take to get to those goals. And then let's utilize your time as best as we possibly can in order to help make that happen. Because at the end of the day, we can drill down on results. One of the things we do is we love helping people get results, right? At the end of the day, for me, the question beyond the results is how fulfilled are you in the path to get to the results? There's that question. And then how fulfilled are you once you actually achieve the results? Because can we agree that there are people who get big results, like they're incredibly successful, they have a ton of money, they have all the things that they want, but they lack fulfillment, joy, like love of life. And so that for us is really customizing what we do to the individual so that it's not just we're getting results, but that we can have fulfillment in the process.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That is so true. We when we talk to clients sometimes too, they have sometimes their expectations and their goals don't fit like where they are as a company right then and there. And then you start to dig down deeper and then say, well, I saw this other guy that did this. I saw this other guy. It's like, whoa, we have to define your level of success. Because if you're always comparing yourself to other people, you're never gonna be real fulfilled because you don't even know. They could be fronting, they could be doing all type of things that aren't true and just putting it out there, and you're eating it all up, and you'll never fulfill that because they can't even fulfill that. So you have to find your own level of success, and even when it comes to how much income you make, how much income do you really need to relax, type of and feel that peace. So man, that's amazing. We kind of do that on our branding and our marketing side as well. That's
why we get along so well, Christopher.
Yeah, that's the thing. We already had that fun sway before we even met each other. So
no, it's so true that so I appreciate that you bring that to it, and I would encourage each of us to always think about you want to enjoy the journey, right? And something that you said about we tend to compare ourselves. Comparison is a killer. Yes. Right. It is a killer of joy. It's, it traps us into believing that who we are is not enough.
Yes.
And that somehow we're not capable of fulfilling our purpose without being like someone else or doing what someone else is doing. And I think for many people, especially in the sales and leadership realm, it's what gets them off track. And this is me too. Like I'm speaking from my own self. I'm an achiever. Like I have big goals. I want to work hard to actually achieve them, but I have to be careful that I'm not taking my eyes off of my lane and focusing on other people. Did you watch the Olympics? I don't remember what year it was, where there was a runner who he ended up winning a medal that got taken away because they shifted their eyes short just enough that their foot hit the lane lines, which is a disqualification.
Oh,
You have
wow.
to stay within your lane. And I always remembered the first time that I heard about that, because the same is true in our life and in our businesses. If we need to stay in our lane, and the moment we start stepping in other people's lanes, trying to run the race they're running, we end up in not even realizing that we're disqualifying ourselves because we get up in our head, we're doing the wrong things. So that's just going to what you said. I think that comparison piece is very important.
Yes. So when you work with business owners, CEOs, when you're working with these guys, what are some of the misconceptions about sales that they already have like deep ingrained in their mind that you kind of have to break up before you can even work with them?
Well, so when I first meet someone, even before they're in coaching, it's at one of my workshops, like what I did for your company, or I'm meeting one-to-one with someone. And, really the goal is to, learn about them, where they are, and to show, a path of opportunity for them. And so one of the misperceptions in speaking with so many sales professionals and having done it for so long is, have you ever read the book, The Scarlet Letter? Like, that story, right?
Yes.
Okay. The Scarlet Letter was a negative thing, and it was meant for that. It was meant that as she walked around, everyone knew about this negative thing about her. Well, I feel like so many, there's a perception of a scarlet letter they wear on their chest, whether they admit it or they're even aware of it, but it's a scarlet P, that in terms of how they think about selling. And oftentimes when I ask folks that when I'm out in workshops, I'll say, well, what do you think that negative P is? And they'll say, oh, pushy, like salespeople are pushy. Or salespeople, some people have used the word pesky, right? Like they're pesky, like, like the mosquito or the fly that keeps buzzing you. Yes, exactly. And so they'll use the word pesky, but they see it negatively. And so one of the biggest things that I, just because of one of the books that I authored and had published, it's on transformation of thought. And so what I know is that if we don't, first of all, we have to be aware that how we're thinking is not truth. There are a ton of sales professionals out there that are incredibly amazing at what they do, and what they do is super positive. And so, but from a brain standpoint, we have to change the way we think. We have to understand we're thinking negatively. We have to be willing to reject that line of thinking, and then we've got to replace it with what is true. So I tell people, rather than thinking the negative of the P on the chest, you've got to think, I'm a professional, like sales professional. So as a professional, what I do is P words like positive. What I do is positive, and because of what I do or the passion that I have, there's another positive P word. I'm passionate about what I do. How about I'm purposeful in what I do? How about I'm pleasantly persistent in what I do? You see, we have to change our perception of sales so that we can think rightly about how we're engaging other people, and it allows us to have greater confidence in it.
Oh, wow. That's a lot deeper than what sales tend to be thought about. We're usually thinking about what a script, what's my script, how many doors do I have to knock on, whatever the actual thing, but actually going in there with a different mindset when it deals with sales is very unique, and taking it to a whole nother level of really, understanding what you're trying to do. I love what was the second one? Purposeful, where you have a purpose. Yeah, where you have a purpose, going in, it's kind of like with my day, I try to go in with a goal every day to get 3 things done. And those 3 things done, I had a successful day. Now, if I can get more done, I didn't, but it's kind of going there with a purpose and not just trying to sell. Wow, that's unique. When you're
But
dealing with, say that, go ahead, go.
oh, I apologize. I was just going to say you actually started a word that I wasn't on my list, but I would add it because in sales is one of the most rewarding jobs. It's also one of the hardest jobs. Would you agree with that?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and it's a must when you're so.
And the reality is we want to think that sales is this special thing, but in all of our lives, we're engaging in a sales pitch all the time. Like you have children, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so
Yes.
anyone who's watching that has children, no matter their age, I'm sure that um, you could give example after example of how you were selling your kids on why they needed to behave, or selling your kids on the merits of cleaning their room or brushing their
Mhm.
teeth, or if you have boys, wearing deodorant. But the sales is something that we engage in all the time. So another P word, because it's hard, sales can be very challenging. We have to persevere to be
Mm,
to be
for sure.
good in that arena. We need perseverance, and I believe perseverance flows most easily when we're purposeful, when we're passionate, when right, because we're coming at it from a better mindset.
Mhm.
We have a
Mindset.
greater ability to be to persevere.
Oh wow, that's amazing. When you're dealing with small businesses and you're talking to them about changing their mindset about sales, and let's say they've been in business for a while, do you ever get any pushback on adding new methods to their already feng shui or their the way they do things?
Oh yes, I mean, my husband and I, we joke back and forth. Change is hard. I
Yes,
mean,
it is.
and comfort zone is easy, right?
Mm,
And so any of us, I mean, I think at the end of the day, most of us, let me say that, most of us, I think, would more likely choose comfort zone living over like embracing or looking for the best opportunities for change, because change is hard. Why? Because
yeah.
our brain, is used to doing something a certain way, and it's just easier to take the path of least resistance. So do we get pushback? Of course we get pushback, because change is challenging. So one of the ways that something that I just have to work on a consistent basis is the goal of a coach. And I think this is a misconception that people have about coaching. They think that a coach is going to come in and tell me I need to change or I must change. Well, when actually what a coach's job to do is to ask questions, to
Mm,
probe, to hold accountable, to give that individual the opportunity to have self realization
mm,
of what areas of their life and their business require change or would benefit from change. And that's a big difference. So we're not just trying to promote, like in Southwestern coaching, we're not just trying to promote a system that people plug into and like, if you do these changes, everything's going to be okay. No, we're working one-to-one with an individual to help them come to the realization of what really does need to change, if anything,
mhm.
in certain areas. And then we help them make those changes in a way that gives them the desired results, and going back to helps them to have the fulfillment that they desire from their chosen profession or role.
Oh wow. It's more like a custom plan. You guys are custom fit. And it all started with what you said, listening. So you listen to the business owners and really pinpoint on their pain point, or where you kind of let them lead you to it, and then you can help them with a solution.
Yeah, it's all about, it's the listening, and if you're asking questions and you're giving them the opportunity to respond, then you have something to listen to. And that's the important aspect. And I think one of the cool things about what I love about what I do is that it's not just Elizabeth. I'm part of a company that's 160 plus years old. They've been training sales professionals for over 160 years. I mean, they started in 1855. So, when I look at that and I look at the content that we provide, like our content is stellar. I've not seen anything that comes close to the content that Southwestern Coaching provides. But to me, beyond that is the ability and our desire to, exactly what you said, customize it to the needs of the individual, because that allows us to meet people where they are. And that's one of the joys for me, is that it's every coaching call is different, even on the same exact content.
Man, this is some good stuff you people are listening to. And Elizabeth, man, we just want to thank you. Now I have some questions written down for you, because you're very special. I want to pick your brain. Why do small business owners need to focus on sales and leadership? Most they're starting out, they're trying to get, their foothold in their market. I guess they need to make sales because they need to make sales, but most of the time they approach it the wrong way. How do you help a small business owner?
Well, okay, but before I get to how we help the small business owner, let me say that I'm really passionate about small business ownership, because, my husband and I opened our first small business in 2000, and we have been work from home entrepreneurs, over the last 21 years. So I am passionate about small business ownership and growth. So before we can even say how we can help them, as a fellow small business owner, I would say first, a small business owner has to be willing to really look at how are they investing their money. Because most of us as small business owners, the last place we will invest is on our own personal and professional growth, because we think, I don't have the money to do that. When in actuality, if we looked at the return on investment of, let's say, investing in marketing dollars to, put an advertisement somewhere, I'll leave that more open-ended, versus the marketing dollars instead being invested in growing oneself, even to the point of like understanding how to ask for and get more referrals, because you close more business when you ask for and get referrals, that we have to first get a small business owner to that place. I'm willing, I know, and I want to invest in myself. Okay. That was a very long intro to now answering your question.
No, that was excellent. And I laughed because you hit me, and you hit me where I hurt too. So yeah, because entrepreneurs and small business owners, we have this passion sometimes, and we think we have it all figured out. And you're right. We need somebody else to come around and say, hey, you don't have it. Look at this. And now let's see if you really have it figured out, because there's different options than what you just set everything on. You may need to have marketing. You may need to have that. But what about you? Like you said, asking for referrals. And I was going to say, asking for referrals. And doing coaching on elevator speeches and things like that. Because when you go to those, a lot of people go to the small business
networking
meetings. Yeah, and then they don't have a proper elevator speech, and they don't even think, hey, I need somebody to help me with this. Yeah. They just want to lay out everything, their business or whatever, the services they do, versus how you can actually help the client and things like. They're not looking at it from that standpoint. So I am 100% on investing in yourself.
Yeah. So to that point, once we can get someone to the place of, man, they recognize there's value. So you actually brought up a couple of really important points in terms of the value. So let me just kind of hit on those. The first of which is outside perspective is invaluable. When it's our baby,
yes,
it's our baby. Right. So it's very challenging to see our own issues, our own blind spots that are present because it's our baby. And having an outside perspective makes a big difference. I'm thinking about Chris Best because he had just sent me a testimonial for something that he and I were going back and forth. And one of the things, so just so that you know, Chris works in the construction industry in ABC Supply. Great guy. He was already a strong salesman, but he really came into coaching with, I know I need to grow. I want to grow. And he said that this is one of the portions of his testimonial, because I have it up. I think getting better is all about seeing our blind spots. And my sales coach has been great about helping me to see those. He's really helped me take apart my day and find the activities that truly benefit me financially. And so that idea of we need the outside perspective, that's the first thing. Because we want to believe we have it all figured out, because in our own heads, we're just that good.
Yeah, we're that amazing. We know,
But I mean, in many ways, just to put some minds at ease of those who are watching, who are entrepreneurs. I think part of the reason why we feel like we're that good is because to be an entrepreneur, right? Don't you have to have a certain mindset of, I'm able to make this thing happen. So it's a matter of stepping back and letting someone else in my bubble to hear how I'm thinking, to either affirm, okay, that makes sense, or to go, no, that doesn't make sense. And I'll tell you, I learned this so in a unique way. I guess for me, God knew I needed this particular methodology. When I was working through publishing my first 2 books, I was working with my developmental editor. And let me tell you, that was brutal. I don't know, Christopher, if you've ever written a book and had to go through the editing process, and it's brutal. You
were stuff away and
you're like, that's my baby, I had blood, sweat, and tears to write that. But it helped me gain an appreciation for what we do. Because in many ways, she was coaching me in the writing process to produce the best possible end result, which I always like to go, those 2 things right there, the best possible end result. And you know what? At the end of the day, I knew they were better because I was willing to allow her in and be part of the process. And that's part of what we try to do is we want to listen. We want to earn trust. We want to allow a business owner to come to the self-realization of what's necessary, what needs to change. And then the very important aspect, we're holding them accountable.
Oh, okay.
To follow through on what they have said they want to do. That's a big thing. Again, it's not a dictatorship. It's a partnership. And accountability. I don't know. Could you use some accountability on it? I know I can.
Oh my gosh. Yes. You hit it on the head too, because when we mess up or they mess up, you can say, remember, you wanted to do this. Now I'm here to help you. Remember, you said you wanted to do this. So that kind of, and when you hit that, now you don't have nobody to blame. Like, oh no, so yes, I'm glad that y'all add that in there. That's cool.
Well, and most people, it's a recognition of, most people will say to me, well, Elizabeth, I know what I should do. I know what I need to do. I just need to do it. Said all of us at some point, right? And sometimes daily. that, it's just, there's such value in allowing someone else to come in and to hold you accountable to actually follow through and do it. And so that's just, I wanted to make sure to add that in. That is a big piece of what we do, which is holding people accountable to the things they've committed to doing.
Yeah. We don't, and business owners, we don't understand that right now, but I'm pretty sure when they work with you, do you do any like free consultations so people can get to know your flow, and how does your process of working with you go?
So that's a great question. So I probably should caveat what I'm about to say with, Southwestern is in 8 different countries. So Southwestern coaching is in 8 different countries. So we're not just in the US. We have over 150 rock star coaches, and all of who, they can't even be hired without 10 years of top production in whatever their selling arena is. So now knowing that, I am one of many is my point. So it's, when I'm out speaking, there are 3 primary ways, or 2 primary ways that people get to know about Southwestern and to understand, are we a good match for them? The first of which would be a workshop. So a workshop is where I'm coming into a small business or even a larger business, and I'm delivering a complimentary and customized workshop of value based on the needs of that team. And we're really hitting on what is going to help move the needle for them to be able to increase their sales. And of course, at the end, they'll have an opportunity, man, if they go, I really could use partnering with a coach, well, then certainly I will give them the opportunity to do so. But workshops are one aspect. The other aspect would be for like solopreneurs, or folks maybe that are working in a job or a business where maybe there's not going to be an opportunity for a workshop. And I offer, any of us coaches, we offer a business action plan, which is like a complimentary coaching session where we're digging in on the goals. Where are you in relationship to those goals? What's hindering you from reaching those goals? And then casting a vision for, if coaching can help you to overcome or deal with those things that are causing you that pain or that delay, then is partnering with a coach the right fit for you? So those are the 2 primary ways that people can know more about what we do.
Oh, wow. Okay. And from our relationship, you really came in, like I said in the beginning, and really gave us a different mindset. I didn't expect that much when we had our workshop. I didn't expect to take away actionable steps that actually help us from one workshop. A lot of I've been to workshops before, and I've been to ones too, to where they say there are workshops and then they're just trying to sell you something. And you really don't take away much in those workshops. So with you, when you came into my team and you gave us this different mindset of helping us sales, it really helped us out. And another thing that helped us out a lot too, that we didn't realize until afterwards, you had us writing and actually writing down everything, which helps us retain it more. And so you retain, you talked about, habits, skills, and systems, and how they're a trifecta. We weren't thinking in that mindset. So I really appreciate that, guys. And you guys that are watching, reach out to Elizabeth, man. She can help with sales. I know we'll hit on leadership in just a minute.
Okay.
We've been sales. But I just wanted to plug you because you guys reach out to her and really just see how she can help you with the sales mindset, make more, and really see where you are. Now let's get on some leadership.
Yes.
When you're dealing, because like we said earlier, when you're dealing with entrepreneurs, we tend to have a certain about us, like we can take on anything, and I was like that, because I never went to a networking meeting until like my 8th year in business.
Wow.
And, just because of my mindset, like nobody's gonna be there, and it was a couple of busts too, so I was half right, but I still had that mindset, even with my credit. So with credit, I bought everything cash for for in when I started my business, and then later down the line when you need cash flow, like you have the money coming in, but you need that cash flow, the credit could really help, but you didn't build it up because you were trying to do something a certain way, and that could have been an outside person like you coming in and saying, "Hey, Chris, I understand you don't want to accumulate credit, but there is such thing as good credit, that can help you down the line." So that would have been a good place for you to intersect something like that. And that's kind of what you do from an overall standpoint, right? When you're helping people.
Yeah. So to that leadership point, so something that we'll take your example of like the need for credit. So when you need cash flow, right? And we saw that become just a real challenge. Like, for example, during the shutdown of 2020, where people all of a sudden had a real cash flow issue. And if they had not established credit, right, then it really shows itself. So all that to say that part of the value from a leadership standpoint is that we have to realize that we can be very good at what we do as entrepreneurs. That doesn't always translate into scaling a business. Right? There are certain structures and processes, systems that need to be in place in order to effectively scale a business successfully. So there's that aspect of it. A lot of times an entrepreneur, because they're passionate about what they're doing, they may need to gain some skills. They may need to gain some systems and structures that will allow them to scale. Another area of leadership that I see is a huge roadblock for people is that of recruitment, like getting the right people to take a business to the next level. And that piece, it is so challenging because you're dealing with other people, and we all have our own challenges. We have our own insecurities. And so it's important that when we're looking at how we lead a business, whether it's lead a business to growth or lead the people that we employ within our business, that it's not just, are we good at what we do? It's, do we have the systems in place that support our people? Do we have the processes in place that allow us to maximize our time? In other words, are we growth enabled? And that's where leadership can, in so many ways, working on our own leadership can really assist us for maximizing our growth opportunities. And to the extent that we ignore the growth of our own leadership ability, I believe in many ways hinders our ability to grow as much as we probably could grow. So that's one of the aspects from a leadership standpoint that we build in to our programs.
Wow, man, you are it's like you just know me. When I or entrepreneurs, how we're thinking already. When I first started, once again, a personal story, I thought that if I paid everybody's salary, they would be on board. I wouldn't have to, prod them to get to work. I wouldn't have to do something like that. I'd say, hey, we're all eating, we're all doing good. But I didn't cultivate a culture. That's right. You know what I'm saying? I didn't cultivate a culture for them to understand, and to believe in, So I was thinking we all go to work, we're all here. And then on top of that, at the end of the day, when you do find the right people, or you try to find the right people, and that's not their company. You know what I'm saying? I can get up and go all the time, but I wasn't thinking like that. So that's another aspect. You would have helped me out, man. If I would have known you 8 years ago, I would have been up there with Jeff Bezos or somebody, Go
ahead. I was going to say, to your point, it's going back to what I said. It's your baby, right? Yes. And I mean, if ever there is a blind spot, is a parent with their child. And so, because, it's your baby, and that it is so, It is so true. But, I want to expand out that idea of leadership. I was just actually speaking with a client, and we were looking at management versus leadership. And how oftentimes people think if I'm a good manager, I'm a good leader. And that does not always translate that well. So, we manage things, we lead people. And part of our leadership is that we need to lead. We will always want to be growing in our ability to lead people well. But there's another important aspect of that is leading ourselves well. And so that's the other, I think another key is that it's not just how we're affecting others, but it's also how are we thinking? How are we leading the way through our own behavior, our own activity? So that's an important aspect of leadership is how are we leading well? Because that's going to allow us to lead others well as also.
Man, that is phenomenal. A lot of small business owners aren't thinking like that. Can we give at all? Trust me, I was there. You were there. You were there before me, actually. When you're talking about leading ourselves, are you talking about creating like you said, creating a system, creating certain habits for ourselves, and those are going to correlate to your team in a sense, or go?
No, finish. I'm going to make a note.
Okay. Correlate to their team, or are you talking about more of like not fulfillment, but just figuring out who we are and where we're going, and then we can understand, be more compassionate to others?
Both and.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right, so let me first say that talking about self-fulfillment, but really more the phrase that you used, knowing ourselves. Okay. Mm-hmm. So one of the really cool things that we do to pair people with a coach is our clients take what's called a navigate assessment, and it looks at the buying and selling behavior of the individual. And so then a coach, when they're just going through building that relationship, we will look at and we'll work through that navigate profile for the individual. Because see, to the extent that I understand who I am, mm-hmm. and that I'm willing to accept that other people are different, has a lot to do with how well I am going to exert in the leadership space. So let me give you an example. I'm going to share, I'll share her first name because she will laugh if she watches this, because she will know it to be true. So her name is Barb. She and I are very different. I'm like a get her done, I'm like on a mission, and if I'm not focused on leading well, I'm like my way or the highway, baby. So, and I also have a certain way of thinking about, I want to say, I think it was the one where we had an impasse was about how I dressing, right? Like you got to dress professionally. That was my approach. And she's a people person. Like she loves people. She is amazing at what she does. And I remember her coming to something in a sweatshirt, I think is what it was. And I said something about it. Oh, yes, I did. Because back in the day, I thought I knew everything. Because that's, part of our challenge is as in this world, or maybe it's just my challenge. It's not other people's challenge. But it became an opportunity to not go into too much detail, but it became an opportunity for me to step back and go, Elizabeth, what's the real problem here? And what I learned from that was that the real problem was I thought everyone needed to be like me to be successful. And that's just not true.
No.
And I had to understand who I was better, what my tendencies were, where my flaws were fleshing up, so that then I could appreciate those who are different and not try to make them clones of me. No, how can I pave a way for them to be successful based on who they are, right? So that's the first part of that. And I've lived that, and I still have to be really conscientious of it. But to your point, if we're not willing as leaders to look at elevating our skills, increasing our, like developing our systems that allow us to be, for example, more efficient in the use of our time, or systems that allow us to be effective in our follow-up, how will we ever teach those to the people who we employ? How can we model something that we ourselves are unwilling to do? How can we expect people to perform at a certain level or use certain systems or processes when we ourselves have said, I'm not doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And so to your point, it's both and. We need to know who we are. We need to be constantly growing and looking for those systems and those processes, because that, I believe, it allows us to lead well and with confidence too.
Man, guys, this entrepreneurs out there, this is gold. You know, I'm pretty sure everybody had some misconception to coming on here and listen to a sales and leadership coach and talking about, I guess sales leadership, but we focused on, before you even get to the sales and leadership, you got to have the right mindset. Yep. And entrepreneurship is like 90% just your mindset and never giving up. And then the 10%, you can learn or hire somebody else. You know what I mean? But man, this has been golden. We're almost out of time. I wish we could go on forever. We're gonna have you back, and me and you are gonna do some. You and us, our company is gonna do some workshops together. We're gonna definitely get some things going to where we're continually help these entrepreneurs, these small business owners, these leadership, these sales people. So I appreciate everything. How do people get in touch with you one more time? I guess we got your email at the bottom, but
so my email, obviously that's scrolling, and then also I'm on LinkedIn. You can search for Elizabeth Mahusay on LinkedIn. I have a business page on Facebook as well, author, speaker, cultivator. And I also wanted to say, if there's entrepreneurs who are on live now, or they've watched the replay, I am doing a lunch and learn on September 30th. It'll be on Zoom. And so I waited to publish that until after you and I spoke today. And so you can go to my LinkedIn and my Facebook. I'll be putting that out by this weekend, and you can register there to attend that lunch and learn on September 30th. Where we can dig in a little bit more on some particular topics. So those would be the primary ways that people can get in contact with me.
That is cool, and we're gonna make sure we share those as well, because guys, this is a truly blessing to be be taught and coached by you. Even with the little tidbits you give away in your complimentary sessions, I mean, they change. And what I said earlier, when I was at COVID, God gave me that vision just to, when you get out, Chris, just help people get one step closer to their goal. Because I was blowing people out. I was trying to get them I was trying to make, a mom and pop shop in Amazon, in a year. And it just did. God just wanted me to slow it down a little bit. But I appreciate you being on our show. You're going to definitely come back. And we're going to be doing a lot more things together. And you said, when is that lunch and learn one more time?
September 30th. So it's Thursday, September 30th, 12 p.m. Central Time.
Okay, great. You guys write that down. We'll share that all over the internet as well. This has been great.
Yes.
Thank you guys. You got one last thing to say, Elizabeth? You got anything to say?
Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate you. Appreciate your heart for entrepreneurship. And just excited to be able to just have the opportunity to work alongside of you.
Oh, thank you. And I mirror that sentiment. So thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're here every Friday. We're going to have amazing people on here, just like Elizabeth, just to give you guys, get one step closer to building that successful business from different aspects. Like you said today, it was sales and leadership, but we started with the mindset. And I'm so glad you started there, Elizabeth. That is so crucial to when people want to start a business. They have to get their mind right. If you don't get your mind right, you ain't gonna make it.
You are. It's hard. It's a hard place to be. We need good thought processes for sure.
Yes, and good systems, like you said, good leadership, and then also that person that's looking outside of you, because that is your baby, and you will be. You know how the parents, like you said, the parents are, my kid can do no wrong, and you know how it is. You're blinded because you're so close.
Right. That's right.
Everybody else is like, that kid is bad. So.
I love it. I love it.
But thank you guys once again for tuning in. And we'll be back. We'll have Elizabeth back. Thank you. Have a great day.
Take care.